if it's the case that someone
Yeah, I do too, Mr. Constantine. Because, like I said, at least he's like good faith. At least he's like open to like learning. He's not one of these like he's not like these other atheist jackasses that are like closed minded, like, oh no. Like it seems like he's pretty good faith.
holds a very strict position of atheism, that is to say, they affirm the position God does not exist. Not I'm unconvinced. God does not exist. Right?
Okay,
Is that an
so
atheist?
fine. Yes, that is an atheist.
Okay.
But
Is
fine,
that
I
rational?
will grant you that because
Is
I
that a
still don't
rational
think
position?
yes.
Okay. Okay. Tell me how it's a rational position for someone, why you think it's a rational position for someone to say God does not exist. Certainly, they'd be coming to that conclusion using some system, right?
Sure.
Okay. And like I said in my opener, rational means based on or in accordance with reason or logic, right?
Mhm.
So you tell me how the hardest, firmest atheist comes to the position that no God exists and how it's in accordance with reason and logic.
So I mean, even just the basic notion of like day one atheism. Well, how come God lets bad? If God existed, bad things wouldn't happen. That is
That's
that may not.
rational.
Yeah, that's a rational.
Okay,
Position.
let's start with that. So if God exists, bad things wouldn't happen. Is there an absolute standard for what constitutes a bad thing, or is that an opinion?
It depends on your worldview, but are you asking under my worldview or are you asking under your worldview?
Is it a bad thing that I have to eat to live?
No.
Oh, really? I think it is.
Okay.
So I'm reasonable to believe God doesn't exist merely because I have to eat and breathe oxygen to live. Is that
If
rational?
you think that's bad, then yeah, you'd be wrong.
So that's no. Is that rational?
Yes.
To come to the conclusion God doesn't exist because I have to eat and breathe air.
Mhm.
That's rational.
Yeah.
Okay, how do you conclude that God doesn't exist from the fact that I have to eat? If it's rational, how do you conclude?
I didn't say that
logically?
is that
You said
you're trying to make a jump.
You just said
is that a logical point? Fine,
Is
that's
it
a logical
rational?
point. I didn't say
No.
not wanting to eat is enough to justify a belief in or non-belief in God.
Listen, rational means based in accordance with reason and logic. You said not the best, but you started with this. Bad thing happened. I asked you what constitutes a bad thing. Could it be anything? Hold on.
Specific.
You said bad thing happened. Okay, the meme. And so I said, oh, interesting. I define it as a bad thing that I have to breathe air and eat, and I can't swim underwater forever. I think that is a good enough reason to say God doesn't exist. Why? Because if God existed, I would be able to do everything I wanted, right? And to you, that's a rational conclusion, right?
Sure. What's
okay? If it's a rational conclusion, give me the premises that make that conclusion follow.
I don't know. I don't hold that belief, but
you just said it's rational. I didn't ask if you held the belief. I said, is it rational in accordance with logic and reasoning? If it's in accordance with logic and reasoning, then it would need to be the case that you could present an argument where that conclusion followed.
If God existed, bad things wouldn't happen. Bad thing happened, therefore God doesn't exist.
And that follows.
Yeah.
Right. That's affirming the consequent. That's a logical fallacy, right?
Don't know what that means.
Okay. Well, if it's affirming the consequent and it's a logical fallacy, are logical fallacies in accordance with reason and logic?
Nope.
Okay. Well, then it's not rational. Do you concede that part?
No, I mean, could you explain what that is?
You don't concede that.
Okay. I just said I don't know what it is. If you explain it, rains, like, okay, then you're right.
If it rains out, it's wet outside. It's wet outside. It rained. Is that logical to you?
Sure.
That's logical to you?
Oh, you mean no? Meaning if it's wet outside, it must have rained?
Yeah.
Is that the question? Okay, misunderstood. No, obviously.
So that's irrational, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that's called affirming the consequent. If you agree affirming the consequent is a logical fallacy, then the bad thing happen is irrational, right? Because you don't know. Yet, what do you mean? How so? You said
it's wrong.
If God,
but I don't see how it's irrational.
What do you mean? Anything could be a bad thing. Do you understand that? Anything that someone doesn't like. For instance, the guy accidentally put pineapple on my pizza. Therefore, God doesn't exist. That's rational to you, right?
Say that again. What?
If I order pizza and I didn't order pineapple, but it shows up with pineapple, I could say, from your worldview that you're defending, I could say that's enough to say God doesn't exist because I don't like pineapple. Why did that happen? right?
Being so pedantic. Okay, so I was trying to just, go with this. I thought, we would, but okay, let's say, children have leukemia. Yeah, again, I thought, you weren't going to go, but whatever. So, kids have leukemia, therefore, God doesn't exist because God wouldn't let that happen.
Okay, and how did you determine God wouldn't let that happen?
Because I was taught that God was through the church, that God was all good.
Well, no. If God's nature is all good, why would it
Mhm.
follow he has to stop things that you don't like?
Because what do you? I don't.
It sounds like
understand.
you're God. It sounds like if God was real, I'd be God, right? It'd be like if God was real, everything that happened in reality would be in accordance with my preferences. That's what you're really arguing.
No.
Yeah, you are. I just gave you the same.
Damn, this is crazy. I thought like Indian Jesus was gonna put up a little bit more of a fight than this, but he's getting cooked. Like he's getting dog walked pretty badly. Like it's just one of these things. Like it seems like he's never really thought about a lot of this stuff before.
Category of a problem, which is with pizza, just to trivialize it. If anything I don't like that happens,
no, you brought up
you're interrupting me. You're interrupting me.
You've been rambling, bro. I'm trying to understand what
I'm
you're
not
saying.
rambling. You're not listening.
just let him finish. Just let him finish. Yeah.
So if I don't like leukemia in kids, by the way, who cares? Kids or adults? Why is it worse because it's kids? Why? I mean, that's just like you're like special pleading for kids. What if there was leukemia for crabs? Would it be bad? God doesn't exist? Leukemia for crabs is God doesn't exist from that too? Or
sure.
Yeah. So leukemia for cockroaches, God doesn't exist?
No, I'm being obviously.
What do you mean no? What do you mean? Be consistent. Leukemia, cockroach leukemia. Why does it not follow that God doesn't exist? Cockroach leukemia. Why?
Because we don't care about humans in the same way, or cockroaches in the same way we do as humans. Again, we're coming back to the notion of being wrong versus being.
Well, no, I mean, who knows, John? Because he claims to be an agnostic atheist. So he says like he doesn't really know, but at the same time, he also knows there's no God, or at least he's leaning toward there's no God. I don't know.
Irrational. You are bringing up these very obvious examples that are wrong, and trying to say that my belief is irrational based on the wrongness of your belief.
Okay, so if you just stated, which I put in my opener, if there's a distinction from an atheistic view between a crab and a human, can you tell me the symmetry breaker between any other animal and humans from an atheistic view?
What do you mean by the atheistic view?
Are you defending an atheistic view, a godless view tonight?
No, I'm
You're not.
Defending a philosophical position that God does not exist. So
that's the same thing, dude. So if you're defending a philosophical position that God doesn't exist, from your godless philosophical position, can you tell me why humans have value but other creatures don't have the same value as humans?
Because I feel like it. What are you getting at? What are you getting
at? That's rational to you, right?
What are you getting at?
I'm getting at you don't have a justification for your value judgment. You just said I feel like it. Is that rational?
No, I'm coming from this.
It's not rational.
Point. This is my point. You're trying to pin down all of the things that an atheist believes to atheism. All of these things are outside of atheism.
What are you talking about? I just asked you if you hold an atheist view and you draw values.
Oh yeah, that's right. We got to stay in the corner of only where Jimbob gets to win.
No. I
forgot we were ignoring all the other definitions of atheism. Okay. My bad.
Look.
What other definitions of atheism are there? What is it? Atheism, you don't believe there's a God, right? You don't believe in a creator. You believe there's nothing, right? What other definitions are there?
Started with the strongest one, right? Would you argue that an atheist might say they don't believe in God because there's no evidence?
I don't believe in God because there's no evidence. Yeah.
Would you hold that position or?
Yeah.
Okay. And you think that's rational, right?
Yes.
Okay. And do you believe in human rights?
Sure.
And is there any physical, empirical evidence for human rights?
Physical evidence for human rights? No, they're concepts. They're not tangible things.
Oh, they're concepts. So it's totally rational to believe in imaginary concepts called rights, even though they're intangible and you can't see them or measure them. Hold on. but it's irrational to believe.
Yeah, I think he said something like that on the after panel. He was talking about how he's like an agnostic atheist. And it's like, well, what kind of spectrum is like? What do you mean? What spectrum is there of atheism? You believe a parts of God exist? You believe that God only has like arms or something? Like, I don't understand. How does this spectrum work?
Even immaterial mind, the
Like, did he just make that up?
ground all things. Can you tell me why belief in rights based on
I didn't say that.
Dude, I'm asking you a question.
Yeah, but you're
tell
asking
me
me a question about something that I didn't
Can
say.
you can you tell me why it's rational to believe in something non-existent like human rights, but it's irrational to
They
believe in
are
God?
existent. They're just not tangible.
Where are they? How do they exist?
Do you know what tangible means?
Yes, where do they exist?
They are ideas. They are concepts. They don't.
So is
just
God.
because you can't touch something. Okay, great.
for-
There's not all things that are not tangible. Like,
Okay.
you are making these weirdest conflations
So
here.
it's rational to
Oh,
believe
well,
in
you
God.
can't touch this thing and you can't
Okay.
touch God. Therefore, they both exist or they neither exist. What are you
Let me-
talking about?
I'm going to tell you what I'm talking about. The audience can follow this. You're the only one not following this. What I'm
Yeah,
drawing
they'll
out
follow you
is
anywhere.
I'm asking you your criterion for determining whether something's rational to believe in or not. And I asked, would you say it's
What does that
rational
have to do with the prompt?
Let me talk, dude. Is it rational, I asked, to say God doesn't exist because you don't see any evidence? You said, yes, that's rational. I said, do you believe in human rights? You said, yes. I said, oh, you do believe in something without evidence, physical evidence. Okay. So you believe in the concept of rights and you think it's rational to believe in the concept of rights, right?
Yes.
Okay. So can you tell me why do you think it's rational to believe in the concept of rights, but it's irrational to believe in God because of the lacking of evidence?
Because
If
of
they
the
both lack
evidence.
evidence.
It doesn't lack evidence. We can see that people get arrested for this, that, and the
No,
other.
that's
People-
force.
Okay, force is the manifestation
No.
of those rights.
No.
Then
'cause
why is there force there then?
you can use
Why
force.
is there force there then?
I'm telling you the distinction. You could use force without rights, right?
Sure.
Okay, so force is force. You're saying, well, no, there's proof of rights because there's force. I can point to places where they use force and there's no rights. So you can't point to
That
force
has
to say there's
nothing
right.
to do with what I said.
Dude, I just asked you the evidence
specific.
Oh my God,
You're
dude.
asking about how do we know that rights exist, and I am saying
asked
that
for
you use the
evidence.
force. The evidence that the rights exist is the force that is used to
No.
back them up. Just
No.
because force exists outside of rights doesn't mean rights
No.
aren't a thing.
Tell me, okay, there's two places.
You
One,
disagree?
no, yeah, I disagree.
Okay.
There's two places that use force. One doesn't believe in rights and one does. They both just use force for the same exact things.
Okay.
Tell me how you determine one place has rights and the other doesn't.
Government, the society, the culture.
That doesn't tell me anything. How do you
Yes, it
verify
does. What do you
rights
mean?
exist?
You don't know
Dude,
the different.
you're
You
not
don't know that
listening to my
in the
question.
UK that there's no right to free speech or right
Look,
right to the
Look,
Second
that's
Amendment.
just
Like
force.
why?
Okay.
Okay, great, but okay,
That's just
that's
force.
not what I asked you.
Well, look, I'm
That's not what I asked.
asking, dude, I didn't ask for evidence that force exists. I agree force exists
I
because it's
know that. I am telling
Listen,
you
dude, stop
that
interrupting me.
oh my God, you just go ahead. You just go ahead.
Yeah,
It's the
thank you.
Jimbob
Put your mic away.
Show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, hold on. This is
Dude, that was pretty funny. Indian Jesus is just getting cooked, and he's getting fed up with getting cooked. He does not like it. But yeah, but I think Jimbob already won when he said is atheism like is that rational? And when Indian Jesus kind of conceded, like, well, no, that's not rational. Blah blah blah. I think Jimbob already run the debate, but I guess they have another 42 minutes to go, so they have to keep it going for some reason. And yeah. Let's see if Indian Jesus picks it up at all, huh? I didn't know he was going to get cooked this badly. I'm going to be honest.
so I'm
Did he walk
hearing
away?
what Jim Bob's asking you. He's asking you, right, is if the concept of rights is a rational belief, why is the concept of God not a rational belief?
It's
Does
an
that make
interesting
it easier
conversation.
for you to understand what he's saying?
So is that what you're asking? Why is one belief rational and the other is not?
You said it's rational to deny God's existence because of the lack of evidence. And I asked you, why do you affirm rights if there's no physical evidence for rights?
And again, I disagree with the notion that I think that the force we see and the processes that we see are the evidence that those rights exist. When those rights are infringed upon, then we see the force being implemented to address that. That doesn't mean that all force.
I think at this point, Indian Jesus is going to try to fight Jimbob. I think he's going to try to fight Jimbob.
Must be connected to rights.
Okay, so again, you're pointing to men with guns doing things. Okay, right? You're saying men with guns doing stuff is proof that rights, the concept, exists. And I go, where? They're just men with guns doing stuff. So if there's two societies, and they're both doing the same exact thing, men with guns doing stuff, you haven't told me how one.
Okay, can I ask you a question that maybe will help me answer?
You just interrupt right before I ask you a question.
I'm honestly trying to get this on the rails. If I ask you a question, you can answer and then show me how that applies to what I'm saying. Is that fair?
Is it fair for you to not answer my question and ask me one?
I'm trying to answer your question based on my understanding. I get it. You're a smart guy. You know this stuff better.
What do you think my question is?
I don't know yet. That's why I'm trying to ask you.
Maybe I can help build this. I have a different way. Maybe I can help build this. Indian Jesus, do the Crusades give you physical evidence that God exists?
No.
What? Okay.
So this is what he's comparing it. Like
Okay.
the force of the Crusades doesn't mean that God exists, just like the force of the law doesn't mean that rights exist. That's what he's trying to build here for you.
Yeah. Would you say
doesn't follow that?
Yeah, it does. It follows the same.
How is we're seeing a direct effect? We're seeing a direct effect.
Yeah, the Crusades are a direct effect
of what?
Belief in God.
Oh my God.
Are the Crusades a direct effect of the belief in God?
Yeah, but it's not the only. I'm talking about a one-to-one, a direct causal factor. There was other cultural factors. There were other things, just like I said with the rights. But in this case, we have a metaphysical, supernatural, whatever you want to call it, claim that is built in.
Are rights metaphysical?
Yeah.
So they're not material, right?
No.
Okay. On what basis should an atheist believe rights exist?
Depends on what their political philosophy is.
Are you an atheist tonight?
Yep.
On what basis should you hold that rights exist by your own epistemic system?
Libertarian utilitarianism.
No. Rights themselves, like, do they have an actual ontology or are they illusory?
I'd probably say they're illusory. I'm not sure I fully understand the question, but
okay, illusory meaning they don't actually exist, just the concept that's acted on exists.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So if you just believe that rights don't actually exist and they're illusory, but the actions on the illusory concept, those actions do exist. I agree with you, but you're still holding to an atheistic position, right? Is atheism rational? What I'm trying to draw out is you're saying it's rational to deny God's existence because of its immateriality and an illusory nature. I'm saying your belief in rights should be just as irrational by the same token.
Okay, so then if you're going to make the comparison to rights, can you then prove? Are you saying that rights don't exist, or you're saying rights do exist?
I'm saying rights don't exist. And the only concept we have of rights would be tied to a Christian paradigm anyway, which would be more aligned with like an entitled position based on your duties. Like even biblically, the term rights really points to the status of man in the world. For instance, we are stewards of the land and animals, right? From that position, I would colloquially grant the term rights, but I wouldn't use it in the Enlightenment way. I wouldn't say you just have an entitlement, which is another problem with atheism, which is most atheists actually appeal to rights. They're always whining about rights.
Yeah, but that's leftism. That's not atheism.
I understand, but they're mostly atheists, though. So
okay, but it's that again.
I'm saying there's a correlation.
Okay, fine, but we're getting away from the rationality part of that.
Okay.
Again,
so how does atheism, let's go to that, rationality. How does atheism account for rationality itself?
It doesn't. It's not. It doesn't claim to.
Yeah, I know. So atheism doesn't have
a position. Saying how does being a dog owner account for the basis of reality?
Listen,
yeah, that's a good point. Remember Daniel Pikachu was all saying yeah, atheism leads to higher IQ, blah, blah, blah. That usually the higher IQ are atheists. Yeah, how could you look at this? Is why I doubted that, because I was like, no, there's a lot of dumb people that are atheists. A lot of dumb people. So yeah, I don't know where he's coming with that from. But it's full of a lot of dumb people that think they're smart.
Listening, bro. Jesus
You're not
Christ.
listening. You're not listening.
Okay.
If atheism, by your own admission, doesn't account for rationality, how is it you can hold a position about God's existence
Because-
being rational or not if you don't even know what it means to be? You can't even account for rationality. What is rationality under an atheist view? What is it?
Again, I don't know what you mean by an atheist view. I'm taking on your definition of this must be a affirmative belief, but I don't.
Dude, like what is this debate in? Is he not arguing for the atheist position here? What is this? What is it? Is atheism rational? Okay, Indian Jesus is saying yes. He's on the affirmative. Jimbob is on the negative. So I don't understand here. What did Indian Jesus think was this was about? What's his job then? Or is it on the spectrum? Like he's not full. He's the spectrum, and he's on the agnostic atheist side. I don't understand.
don't buy into that. I don't believe what that is. I don't know what that is.
Let me help you. If rationality,
leftist or whatever.
If rational means in accordance with reason, and
he always says that too. I'm not a leftist. In my the last video I covered of him or whatever, he like left a comment and he was just like, "I'm not a lefty." Blah blah blah. I'm not one of these lefties. I was like, really? I mean, you could have fooled me because apparently he's a Trump voter, even though he voted for Trump in 2024. It's like, you're barely a Trump supporter. You're barely MAGA. But I was just like, I don't know, man. If you came across as one of the debates that I've seen you in, but he insists, he swears he's not.
Logic. Do you agree with that definition?
I'm sorry, I was reading the super chat. Could you say that again, please?
Rational meaning based on or in accordance with reason and logic. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So if an atheist says, I agree with reason and logic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, under a non-God view, isn't it fair for someone to ask, how does atheism account for reason and logic?
I don't know. I don't know what that means. But yeah, Draco, Indian just wanted Jimbo to talk to him for an extended period of time. Yeah, I know, right? What if Indian Jesus was just a really big fan of Jimbob and this was his way of just trying to meet him, just trying to talk to him, have a conversation there with him, Maybe that's what this is.
I guess it would be a fair question, but I mean, again, depending on the other aspects of your belief system, it would be a different answer. So I can give you my answer for me, but I can't tell you what another random strong atheist is going to think.
Okay.
You're trying again. I'm giving you all this grace by moving this into the tiny little corner so that you can have your debate because you're unwilling to have a real conversation.
Yeah, and so what debate? Like, I don't understand. Like, what was Indian Jesus's complaint? Like, what did he want to talk about? Being an agnostic atheist? Is that what he wanted to talk about? Because that's what I am. I'm an agnostic atheist. So that's what I want to talk about. Said, you want to talk about this? I don't get it. What is this?
But
Really?
I can't answer what every other atheist thinks.
I didn't ask
again, this comes back to the same thing of you not understanding that all these things you're talking about leftism, you're talking about wokeism, you're talking about feminism, you're talking about hedonism, you're talking about all these things. But that's what I know you didn't say anything about them because you're calling it atheism. You're calling it atheism. All these bad things. All you're saying.
I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything about bad things. I'm
not saying that you said those words. I'm saying what you are talking about. Not really, because I remember that it doesn't have to do with the prompt.
It does. If the prompt is atheism rational, you said it's fair to ask, well, under the view that you're holding, in this case, you are the atheist, Indian, I want to know from you how your particular atheistic view.
I just find it really funny when Jimbob calls them by their like name, So like I was watching him in Counterpoints from the other day, and he was like, counterpoints, listen. And then with Indian Jesus, he's like, Indian. I just think that's really funny.
Which is to say, I'm not sure about God's existence. How do you account for reason and logic? What is it under your paradigm? What is it?
So I mean, it depends on, we start with Cartesian logic and build from there.
No. I didn't ask what you start with. What is the ontology of reason and logic? Like, what do you think it's mechanical? Do you think it's like,
I don't know.
You think
I'm agnostic.
Oh, you're agnostic. So do you think that you're a biological machine strictly, or do you hold a spiritual belief?
Yeah.
You do hold a spiritual belief.
Yeah. I don't know how to define it, but yeah, sure. I
Okay.
believe there's something.
Okay. Do
Something.
you think it's irrational to deny a spiritual aspect of your existence?
Do I think it's irrational to deny? Yeah. That's probably
Okay.
yeah. I would say so.
Okay. Would you agree that there is a hardline atheist position that even if you're not holding tonight, there is a hardline atheist position that would deny anything like spiritual, because that would be supernatural, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Okay.
that's specifically why my whole opening was about not that tiny piece of atheism, because I agree that that is not my belief, and that also is not rational.
Okay. Okay, then what separates you from the hardline atheists on the threshold then? How do you know you're at a 6 or a 7 or a 4 or a 10 or whatever? How do you know that?
Because I am, as you saw from the last time I was here, I am open to the existence of God, the
Okay.
ethics of God. I don't have, I went through a militant atheist phase when I was young and stuff. But you grow up and you learn that
Okay.
secular humanism doesn't work, and unfortunately, Christianity is the best we have. And
Okay.
so,
Okay, that's fair enough. So if you yourself, instead of tearing apart the hardline atheists, which that's sounds like that's easy enough for both of us to do, and you hold a spiritual position, you're going to separate yourself from all the atheists who think you're crazy for holding an
yes,
experiential conclusion
yes.
of spirituality, right?
Now you're getting it. I'm
Okay.
not like them. I'm the
Okay. Yeah, I understand, but you did agree to the atheist, but I'm fine.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Indian Jesus, he's all over the place. I'm atheist, but I'm also agnostic. Yeah, I'm not just a hardcore atheist. I also believe in spiritual stuff too. And it's like, yeah, I'm MAGA, but I'm also libertarian here. And I think prostitution should be legal. It's like, he's all over the place. I guess Indian Jesus I guess it's appropriate, He's like that doesn't really make sense, but that's just his thing. I don't really make any sense. I'm all over the place. I'm not like them. I'm Indian, but I'm also Jesus.
Moving off
Yeah.
of that, because it doesn't sound like you don't even defend that view
right. That's
in your
I
life.
no, I don't. That's what I said in my opening.
Okay.
And then you decided for the last 30 minutes that we need to stay on this specific type of hardline atheism
Okay.
because that's the only type of atheist that you want to talk about, even though
Okay.
other types of atheists exist. But you want to address that.
Okay, that's fine. No, I'm fine moving away as long as we knocked out what did we knock out the 10 out of 10 and the 9 out of 10 atheists, or did we go to 8? Are you at 7? Are you at 6? Where are you?
Out of the 7, I'm probably a 5.
Okay, 5. So you're not even you're moving away.
Exactly. Agnostic atheist. That's what I've been trying to tell you.
Yeah.
Do you think it's rational to move away from atheism?
Yeah, I mean, depending on the type of atheism and depending on the reality of, depending on reality, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, we agree. It's
like I said, you might convert me by the end of this debate. I am totally open.
Well, I did.
Like, imagine if he was like bisexual. Yeah, you might convert me. Yeah, just whip it out. You might convert me. I might go full gay. I might go full gay for Jimbob. We'll see.
No, you just knock down the atheist that I'm not.
I don't put too much weight on these, but I did 2 weeks ago have an image of you visiting Divine Liturgy. I'm just saying, I just thought of it. And I was like, whoa, that guy. Because I was really aggressive with you on a panel, but I actually was like, I like that guy. I think he's actually seeking for something, and he's laughing at these other materialists, so he understands.
Yes.
So I'm glad you're moving away from atheism. Okay. So if you're moving away from atheism, and I agree that's rational, at least we could agree there's some threshold, even if it's ambiguous, where atheism is irrational. But you're also saying a movement away from atheism seems to be rational.
Yeah.
So if a movement away from atheism,
the truth is somewhere, between I believe in God and I believe there's no God, like an agnostic atheist would think.
I wonder, though, if that's a true dichotomy, because what could you call in the middle? Because I hold a different view. If you believe
In the middle of what?
Like truth being in the middle. What I mean by that is if you hold a hard atheist view, you actually believe that truth is like in flux and that it's kind of built up from humans from the bottom up.
Well,
And
again, that's a different philosophy that a
I
lot of
understand.
atheists may hold.
I understand, but generally speaking, I've doing this for years, and they hold to. I actually believe a true dichotomy. I believe that there's only two options. Either epistemology, knowledge itself, is theonomous, which is to say it has always existed, and you and I, through processes, through experience and logic and reasoning, are discovering it, versus autonomous, which is that we're fabricating it. We're just making up the story about truth, and we're filling in the gap of time called our life, trying to pretend we're arguing for something, but really we're under the impression that it's not actually real. I hold that it's actually real. And so if you agree with me that we're discovering truth, this is one step forward to God existing. Because if you're a discovering truth, is it fair to say if you discover something, it means it existed in a way?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So
And so
if
this is why, if I may, this is why
Yeah.
I am not, I put in the thing with my opening about a deistic God, about the first cause, or the truth
Okay.
that connects us all, or that is a different thing than Yahweh of the Bible, and that may very well exist. I don't think that we as humanity, or me personally, have access to that right now, but I don't think it is impossible that we could one day discover, oh, there
Okay.
is something.
Okay, cool. But if there was a God and it was a being God, a personal God, it would make sense that God would reveal truth to us. Because in the same sense, an atheist would say,
Yeah.
well, if God exists, this bad thing wouldn't happen. You would say, well, if God exists, certainly it wouldn't be unreasonable, let's say, for him to not make it known. Wouldn't that be fair? Like, make himself known if God
Yeah,
existed. We
yeah,
could certainly expect him to.
yeah, that's
We
a
wouldn't.
very core part of my
Okay.
atheism. Is I believe in divine hiddenness, and I think that if there is a God, that he would show himself to people. So the fact that someone like myself, who was born in the Catholic Church, confirmed in the Methodist Church, was a full believer until I actually sat down and read the Bible and learned about other types of philosophy, then after my militant atheist phase, I genuinely, and still to this day, tried to come back to what is the truth, regardless of what I believe right now, or yesterday, or any other thing. So
Did you pursue Orthodoxy at all, or you just went with Catholicism and that other thing?
yeah, just Catholicism, and then
Is there any reason you're obviously
there's my friend.
around and you're drawn to Orthodox spaces, right?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I'm attracted to the political message that you guys are putting out, and that's why I think that, even though there's no way that anybody's going to see that I win this debate, but I think it's an important discussion, because I think that you guys are shooting yourselves in the foot, and instead of just lumping in the leftist with the and all that with atheists, that there can be a better way forward, where the cool atheist, the good atheist, the based atheist, whatever the fuck you want to call it, can be part of the club, and we are going to have a much better time speaking.
Yeah.
Is this really the whole like inclusion? Are these people just really want like DEI with freaking with right lean, like the conservatives and stuff? Like, first it's that other guy I debated the other day, freaking Grimathy, who's like, oh yes, but you guys, I think you're holding back the movement when you exclude the dog kink people. When you shame and you mock and laugh at the dog king people, how are they going to join your movement and vote for everything that you want? Then you have lunch here. That lunch. That's all like, yeah. Well, I mean, listen, you're being exclusive. You're excluding the agnostic atheist over here, and I think you're shooting yourselves in the foot. Like, it's just this more like tone policing here. Like, what is this? I like how we're the cool kids club now, and all these motherfuckers are trying to come on board.
To people who are center left than
Well,
you guys are.
I'm saying ultimately that goal from your position, I'm going to go ahead and challenge you. If you think that's a good thing, I'm going to say you don't have a fully exhaustive worldview to say why that's a good thing, right?
To say what's a good thing that we would
That we should sort of like compromise and pull even center people who are a little more reasonable than the blue hairs into our umbrella and say we're moving toward this, right? From my position, you have to be pretty strong with the position. You have to say it's orthodoxy or nothing. And so what I'd like to hold people to is like, if you have this concept of conservatism, but you have a very weak, let's say, foundation for like lower C Christianity, the reason that I would say that you didn't adopt into the other forms of Christianity that you pursued is because they end up being too weak for you. Weak stances.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Right. Right. So if you agree with that,
so then let's take that then. So let's say, especially the Methodist Church, because I mean, number one, I was younger when I was in the Catholic Church, and I was in like 8th grade, and then we moved over to a Methodist church, and that was ironically, even though there was a weaker church, I got way more into things because it wasn't about, it was just about come and hang out and stuff. And so let's say that I grew up in that Methodist church. And the whole time I had all of these doubts about God, and they're just like keep coming back. And at that point, I just was going involved, and I just was not convinced. How then would that be?
Why? Because you're like me. Well, no, it's not. No, that was rational.
That wouldn't be. That would be rational.
Yeah, it was rational. For
there we go. Thank you.
No, yeah, no, but that's actually, we are the first to say all of those heterodox places, we call them atheist factories. We would grant that to you.
Okay, but again, so then those people would be atheists and they would have a rational position. So it can't be the case that being an atheist is an irrational position.
No, it's rational for particular instances for people who look at, let's say, heterodox Protestantism and all the rest.
I think that's the debate, homie. I think that's the debate, homie.
No, it's not. To say that some atheist on a particular position instance can
be rational doesn't mean that it's...
No. I didn't say atheists can't be rational. I said the position itself. For instance, there's a problem here. If an atheist pursues Christianity, for instance, the atheist godless position doesn't actually have a reason to pursue what they're investigating. That's not rational.
Okay, agreed.
So if an atheist comes along and they go, well, I have a spiritual reality to myself, and I want to figure out what the proper paradigm for this spiritual experience is, because I reject materialism. I reject that I'm just a cog in a machine. I reject that there's no purpose to this. That's not consistent with my experience. They want to find something, right? I'm saying holding an atheistic position doesn't give you any reason why you should pursue that inclination at all. It doesn't give you a reason for it. It's distinctly illogical.
Right, but from that point, I agree with you that atheism doesn't give that to you. But the point that I think you're missing is that you can be an atheist, and even though the atheism doesn't give that to you, you can buy into other philosophies that would.
Not atheism. Like I said,
how are those
a movement.
Not all philosophies are based on God.
I understand, but a movement away from atheism would be the start. So we both are in alignment.
That's not what I'm asking you. That's not what I. No. That's not.
No. This is what you're saying. You're saying this is what I'm saying. If someone's an atheist, they have no reason to pursue the truth.
You cannot make that statement. You don't know what other beliefs. I don't. This is what I'm telling you, brother. The atheism doesn't. This is like saying the dog owner's perspective on tax evasion. What's the dog owner's perspective on tax evasion?
No. That's an opinion. We're not talking about opinions. We're talking about a standard for truth, right? So look, I'll make it simple.
Right, but the analogy I'm making is that you're making the same mistake there. The reason why it doesn't make sense, that question doesn't make sense, is the same reason why your question here doesn't make sense.
Is the truth of the matter opinion based, or is it objective?
It's objective.
Okay. If the atheist, I don't care who you are, you or any other atheist, what I'm saying is that the worldview without a God cannot justify truth itself. They have no absolute standard for truth. Is it rational for someone who has no absolute standard for truth to pursue truth?
Probably not. But again, I disagree with the notion that because you are an atheist, you can't have a basis for truth.
Good. Give me a counterexample of how you would determine that, because you can't.
I mean, again, off the top of my head, I don't know. But are you
Is
claiming
truth
there's
okay?
wait? Are you
Yeah.
claiming there's no schools of thought
No.
that do not include a God?
No, you cannot ground absolute truth because of the
There's,
nature. Let me
I know
answer.
you believe that. The
Let
question
me
is,
answer.
are
No,
there
I'll
any
tell you. It's
philosophies that
called.
exist?
I'll
Just
tell
because
you.
I can't name it off the top of
Bro,
my
I'm
head
trying to
doesn't mean it
answer you.
exists.
I'm trying to answer you. It's a disjunctive syllogism. You can't. There's no other non-God views, right? There's no non-God view that can ground absolute truth because of what the nature of truth actually is. You and I agree, right, that truth would be at least conceptual in this conversation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not found in nature. It's not, you can't pick it up in the wilderness, right? There's no object called truth you can hold, right? Pick it
No.
up, weigh it, right?
No, it's
So
just that
it,
which is in accordance with reality.
right, but is it absolute and universal?
I don't know.
Well, to say no would be a contradiction. So do you agree that if it's a contradiction to say truth isn't universal would be to say a universal statement about truth?
Okay. When you put it, yeah, because just to clarify, there's different things that may be true now. That doesn't mean it was always true. But if we're saying the truth itself,
Yeah,
then yes,
even in that case, if we were wrong about something, when we're right about it and we come to higher resolution, we're actually discovering something in higher resolution, what
yeah,
we
yeah.
call the truth, right? So if truth is conceptual and absolute and universal, and I agree with you, for the sake of this debate, isn't it the case that concepts are habitually tied to a mind?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not that big of a leap to say if truth is absolute and conceptual and concepts are tied to a mind, if humans discover truth and it has some type of existence for us to discover, then it has to exist in a type of mind for us to discover it. So a theistic view, even generally speaking, would say, well, like a divine conceptual view would be human beings have the capacity through their experience and their metaphysics and philosophy to discover something called truth. But to discover it necessitates that it existed before us. If you and me agree with that, an any atheist, they might even bite the bullet on that premise. But once I skip to the conclusion that concepts are tied to a mind, they get really squirrely because they know that if truth is a concept from their view and it's universal and it precedes their own existence and all human minds, but it's mind dependent, they've necessitated a mind before them and they really don't like this.
Can you tell me more about that? I have not
Sure.
found an issue with people seeing that there can't be is there that you find atheists say that there can't be an independent
Yeah.
mind?
Yeah, before humans,
I
because
told you I ain't one of them. I told you I ain't
I
like them.
understand. I understand, but if you
Okay.
agree with me, I'm saying there's no way to agree with my syllogism and maintain a non-God position because the new definition, at least preliminary definition for God, would be this universal mind. So if there are things like logic, which we agree exist, information, knowledge, truth, propositions, universals, and the rest, and these exist not like trees. You and I are on the same page. They don't exist
Yeah, but
like
that's not a
trees.
theistic God. That's a
Well,
deistic.
hold on. Yeah, even if you started deistic, like really vague,
Right.
it still necessitates a mind. And so even if I got you or anyone else to at least step away from a non-mind preceding us, then the question is, who is this mind? Who is it? Isn't that fair?
Yeah. Good
So
question.
that would mean if it was fair to pursue a who is this universal mind? Now we're into another level, which is truth is grounded in a person of actual being, a being, not a tree, not a rock, not the universe, not floaty stuff, an actual being that's
Why is
knowable.
that? Why does that necessitate that?
Uh,
What is what?
because concepts are associated with a mind,
Right.
and what we know of minds is that they're associated with being.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So then look, I'm not going to push you any further on this. I invite you because you explored these other things and I give you good reason. I agree with you. You probably have good reason to reject Methodist and Roman Catholicism and a lot of other things you could look at, especially in the West. My invitation to you is perhaps your pursuit of knowledge is drawing you to Orthodox people like me or Andrew or the rest, and you're actually interested in this topic.
I've been
And
interested
because
long before you guys are around.
I understand, but you're more interested because we're pushing it. The rest of the people are talking about stuff you're not interested in.
I
You know what I mean?
don't. I mean, like
Go to liturgy.
if it was the case that
I wonder what Indian Jesus is going to say about that. I don't know. Thank you very much, Ken, for the $5. All right, you guys have a wonderful night. Indian atheist is cooked. Indian agnostic atheist, huh? He's on the 5 on the agnostic or the atheist spectrum. But thank you very much, Ken, and thank you very much for stopping by tonight. Very much appreciated, brother.
that I was like, oh, the orthodoxy of this, I would have no problems.
Will you go to
giving that
liturgy?
you, but what is that?
Go to Divine Liturgy, please. Go to Eastern Orthodox Church.
Is that a
Experience
place or is that a
liturgy.
website or when? I don't
It's
know.
a church. Go
Okay.
to your nearest. I don't know where you are. I don't have to dox you. Go to your nearest Eastern Orthodox church. Rokar. It could be Greek Orthodox. Go experience a divine liturgy. Right from your point of inquiry, you're moving away from atheism, and you have every reason to do that. It's the
I didn't
hardest
say I was
form of
moving
atheism.
away from atheism.
What's that?
I didn't say I was moving away from atheism.
Well,
I
no,
said
you
I
said
moved
moving
hard
away from
atheism.
You said moving away from hard atheism is rational. I'm just asking you to keep going.
I thought he did say that, though. I thought he did say he was moving away from atheism because he's like, I'm not like them. I'm not like these other atheists. I'm different. So, and then later on, it sounded like he said that, yeah, he was moving away from hard atheism.
I mean, again, fair, but it's just a matter of this. You're the million and first person to say, oh, well, you just got to do this, and
Not
going
just
back to
no. It's not going to be easy, dude. That's the other part.
I think
okay.
I know. I
think-
understand that. I understand.
I think
that.
men. I
If you
think
can give me
men.
the grace, if you can give me the grace of understanding the gravity of what you just told me,
Yes. Okay.
I
understand.
you are the million
It
and
is
first
not a
person
fix.
to tell
No,
me.
I promise you, it is not a fix. In fact, your life will get harder. But I hold the view that the thing that's
So
deteriorating the society that we're in, and maybe you can try to be charitable in my assessment of this. I think the missing element and the reason people are moving, especially men, toward traditionalism, isn't just because aesthetics or something that like is unmoved for thousands of years. Of course, that plays in, but what I'm pointing to is that men like you and me, we haven't been drawn into sacrifice and participation. We're not challenged. We're sitting pretty, and so we're all done with it. We're done with sitting pretty, and so we're doing all this philosophy and we're on panels. What I'm saying is when the reason I'm pointing you in the direction of orthodoxy isn't just because I think it's true. I certainly don't believe it's going to be an easy fix, dude. It's not easy. It's not
Right.
easy. I'm not going to ask just anybody at any point in time just to do it.
I get that. I am trying to say.
Actually,
Again,
a compliment to invite you, actually, because it's
Well,
like,
I
well,
appreciate
there are weak people who aren't actually trying to figure out the clusterfuck that is our reality right now, and you seem to be trying to do it. And so I'm
Yeah,
going,
absolutely.
cool. He's trying at least. He's not just going like, nihilism for the win. Like we need
I mean,
people with your mindset to keep pursuing, dude.
Yes, exactly. So, but so then I am in. If I were to do this in the best possible faith, with all of everything that anyone could ask, and then I was still in the same position, how would that be irrational to say that I don't believe? Because again, a lot of people told me, oh, the Catholic Church, this church,
Yeah, I
you go to that
understand.
church, you read this, and so on and so on, and they all said, if you do this,
It would
and
all
they're all
depend
wrong.
on your reasoning. And I'm totally, whether it's on screen or off, you can hit me up. If you go to an Orthodox experience and go to a divine liturgy and you go, you know what, there's something there. I just don't know what it is. Like, I'd be happy with that. I wouldn't even lay anything else on you. I'd just say, yeah, dude, just keep going. I would ask you when you hit a bump, I would take you as a case by case. I would say, what's the bump, bro? Like, it wouldn't even be a debate forum. It would be DMs or a phone call. I'd be like, what's the bump? What's the
Okay,
bump?
so I mean, so I could. It would be the basic truth claims, the basic truth claims. I think the ethics, all that stuff. But when it comes to things like the resurrection, things like the existence of a temporal God, all that kind of stuff, I can't buy into that. Which is why I have such a great respect for Christian ethics, but not specifically the truth claims.
Let's
of
go there.
Christianity.
Let's see if that's rational. So,
All right. If you guys want to see this full debate, I'll have a link in the description down below. But what do you think? Do you guys think Indian Jesus is going to convert? Do you think we're going to be seeing Orthodox Christian Jesus, huh? Of here, Indian Orthodox Christian? We'll see. At least he does seem like open to it. It does seem like Jimbob is saying that he is in pursuit of a greater truth. And I gotta say, it has to be better than living this agnostic atheist lifestyle where he's a 5 on the atheist spectrum here, where he's everything and nothing all at once. It has to be better than that. So I hope that he continues his pursuit, and hopefully he comes over to the right side so he could stop with all this nonsense.
Hey ladies and gentlemen, did you enjoy that video? I hope you did. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe, or else you're gay. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. I'm just trying to save you from sin. Also, make sure you catch the Cool Stream live Mondays through Fridays right here on my YouTube channel, and make sure you follow me at any of these links down below for everything Cool Vic.